Hello everyone! Here in front of me I've got the ABRSM sample online paper that they released. Because they're going to be doing grade 5 theory exams online in a few days for the first time ever, they've had to reword some of the questions and redo the method of asking and answering them so that they can be done in an online format. Instead of being out of 100, they're now going to be out of 75. So it's just a case of reading these questions and understanding how we maneuver ourselves into the answer. And we need to understand that we are fully allowed to use all of this free space to scribble down notes, to write out answers, like before going into a maths exam, before even starting, you'd scribble on that scrap paper that they gave you all of your workings out and your formulas and everything so that you have them there as reference. And that's exactly what you can do in a grade 5 theory paper. Now, obviously, with it being online, you can't scribble on the actual test since it's on your computer screen, but you can have a notepad by the side of you. You can just have some blank paper and a pencil ready to go, and you can take in notes. And when the exam starts, start to write down all of these notes as you go through the question, write down more notes and reference to them all to help you maneuver into the right answer. So I thought that it would be wise to go through the entirety of this sample paper and see what I mean by this. So let's just get started. The first one, we've got questions about rhythm. So it's fundamentally just about counting up, okay? So let's do a rhythm tree. What do I mean by a rhythm tree? Well, let's see. Over here, we've got all this space. So let's write out that a semibreve, that is the same as 4 beats, okay? What about a dotted semibreve? Well, that's going to be the same as 4 plus half of 4, which is 2, which is the same as 6. And a double dotted semibreve is going to be the same as the dotted semibreve, so 6, plus half of what we just added on, so half of 2, so that. So a double dotted semibreve is going to be worth 5. We can do exactly the same thing with a minim. We can do exactly the same thing with a crotchet, with a quaver. Now I'm going to do it for a quaver, because over here in this example, we've got a double dotted quaver. So let's write this out. A quaver is worth half a beat. A dotted quaver is going to be a half plus half of a half, which is a quarter, which is the same as 3/4. So therefore, a double dotted quaver is going to be the same as our 3/4 plus half of what we added on before, so plus an eighth, okay? And what's 3/4 plus an eighth, okay? Well, if this is difficult to work out, then we need to look at the lowest common denominator. What's 3/4 the same as? It's the same as 6/8. So this is the same as 6/8 plus 1/8. Okay, 3/4 is the same as 6/8. So that is going to be worth 7/8. So this double dotted quaver, when we come to it, is going to be worth 7/8. And look at all this working out that I've done over here. You're perfectly within your right to write all of this out, okay? Whether you prefer working in fractions or working in decimals, it doesn't matter. You can spend all the time you want to write out all of these notes. So a single dot adds on half of the note. The second dot adds on half of what we just added on. Get the lowest common denominator for the sake of adding it up easily, and we get that this double dotted quaver over here is going to be 7/8 in length. So this is going to be nice and helpful when we get to this question. So let's go to A and count everything up, okay? So let's just count every single note. Why not? So we've got a crotchet, that's 1. We've got a quaver, that's a half. We've got another quaver, that's a half. We've got 4 semiquavers, so 4/4, and we've got a quaver and 2 quaverests, so each of those are a half. So we now have the value for every single beat, okay? You could happily, if you can do it in your head and work it out and count all the quavers or count all the crotchets, then fine, but this is a perfectly fine way of working all of this out. You've got 2 hours to do this exam, so you can spend a nice amount of time on each question. So 1 plus a half plus a half. So far, 1 plus a half, that's 2. 4/4, well, that's the same as 1. Let's try and do all these as 1. So 2 halves is the same as 1. 4 quarters is the same as 1. 2 halves, that's the same as 1. And we've got this half left over. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 and a half beats. More specifically, 4.5 crotchet beats. But we can't have a time signature of 4.5, 4. So we're going to have to do this probably in terms of quavers, because we can't do that in terms of minims. So let's go in terms of quavers. So if we double 4.5, we get 9. So this is the same as 9 quavers. And if we look at this and do it in terms of halves, so 1, that's the same as 2 halves. We've got 2 halves here, 2 quavers. 2 quarters is the same as a half. 2 quarters is the same as a half. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 halves, or 9 quavers. So 9 quavers is our answer. The second one, so we've got this double dotted quaver, which writing out our rhythm tree and writing out what we're going to be doing with that dot function to help us understand how long this note is worth rather than trying to do it in your head, we get that this is 7/8. And that's quite handy because the next note here is a demi-semiquaver, and a demi-semiquaver is 1/8. So this is 7/8 plus 1/8. So together, they're 1 beat. Let's look at the rest of it. Okay, we've got a crotchet here. That's also 1. We've got a quarter, and a half, because we've got a semiquaver rest, and a quaver. So all of those together, they equal 1. So that means that we've got something in the middle here. We've got a quaver, which is a half. Let's scribble over here. We've got a quaver. That's the same as a half. And we've got 3 triplet semiquavers. Now, don't forget that 3 triplet anything is the same as 2 normal of those things, okay? Even if these 2 quavers were, for example, written as a crotchet, we can still break that crotchet down into 2 quavers, so that would be 2 regular quavers. So it doesn't matter. 3, what are these? Let's call them cherries. 3 triplet cherries are going to be played in the same amount of time as 2 normal cherries. That's the rule with triplets. So we've got 3 triplet semiquavers here. So 3 triplet semiquavers are going to be the same as 2 normal semiquavers. So if this is the same as 2 normal semiquavers, that's going to be the same as 1 semiquaver and 2 semiquavers. So this is the same as a quarter plus a quarter, or the same as a half, or the same as 1 quaver. So this is a half plus a half. So we get effectively a quaver plus a quaver. So this is a quaver plus a quaver. So this is also 1. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've got 4 beats in that bar. 4, 4. And look at all this working out. This is absolutely what you're allowed to do. Whether you do it on the sheet itself, or whether you have a blank piece of paper, notepad next to you to do all this working out. Let's look at the next one. So we've got all the answers in terms of quavers. So let's just count quavers and save ourselves the effort, okay? So there's 1 quaver. Let's do it in halves. Let's be consistent. There's 1 quaver, a half. We've got 2 semiquavers here. That is the same as 1 quaver, because 2 quarters is a half. 2 semiquavers is 1 quaver. We've got another quaver there. We've got another quaver, another quaver, and we've got another triplet thing. So 3 triplet anything are the same as 2 normal those things. 3 triplet quavers are going to be the same as 2 normal quavers. So 2 normal quavers. So how many have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 quavers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the same as 2, 6, 7. So we get 7, 8. Here is a bar in compound time. What do we mean by compound and simple time? Compound, each note can be split up, each beat can be split up into 3s, okay? So 12/8 is a compound time, so that is the same as 12 quavers. 12/8 quavers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oop, that was poorly drawn. 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 is divisible by 3 4 times. So we've got 1 beat, 2 beat, 3 beat, 4 beats. Okay? How do we collectively talk about 3 quavers? A dotted crotchet. A dotted crotchet. Dotted crotchet. Dotted crotchet. So 12/8 is the same as 12 quavers in the bar, but there are 4 beats, and each of those beats is 1 dotted crotchet. Simple is where each beat can be divided into 2s. So instead of dividing into 3 quavers, if I divide it into 2 quavers instead, how can we represent 2 quavers? That's going to be 1 crotchet. So here we've got a time signature of 12/8. Well, there are 12 quavers in a bar. Each of those quavers can be grouped in groups of 3. So we've got 4 beats of 3 quavers, or 4 beats, and each of those beats is a dotted crotchet. Simple time, we've got 4 beats in a bar, where each of those beats can be divided into 2s instead of 3s. So we've got 4, 4. We've got 4 crotchets, or 8, 8, but there are still 4 beats in a bar, because we're still talking about 4 beats in a bar. So we still need to talk about 4 beats in a bar. And we've got these 4 crotchets. Each of them can be divided into 2 quavers. So this is a compound time signature with 4 beats in a bar. And this is a simple time signature with 4 beats in a bar. Fundamentally, simple time signatures, each beat can be broken down into 2s. So each beat's probably going to be a solid note, a crotchet, a minim, a quaver. Compound time signature, each beat can be divided into 3s. So each beat, therefore, is going to be a dotted crotchet, a dotted minim, a dotted quaver, so that we can fit 3 in the same as 1. So let's look at our options. So they're all in 4/4, so that's fine, okay? So let's see what's going on in the original. So each beat is going to be 3 quavers. This crotchet is the same as 2 quavers, so there's 1 beat. Then we've got another 3 quavers. Again, this crotchet can be 2 quavers. And the dotted crotchet rests there. So we've got our 1, 2, 3, 4 beats. So in simple time, we need to do the same thing. We need to fit these 2 notes into 1 beat. And the only way we can do that in a simple time signature is by using a triplet to squeeze 3 evenly spaced notes into the space of 1 beat. So they've all got that at the start. So far, they all check out. The second one, we've got to fit 3 quavers in 1 beat. And again, we've got to tripletize them. So these 2 do that, but this one doesn't, so it's not going to be him. Next beat, we've got the same as the first beat, but the other way around, so it's a quaver, then a crotchet. So again, we're going to have to tripletize that, because that's the same as 3 quavers, so we've got to squeeze that into 1 beat. So we've got to tripletize that. Both the top and the bottom do that, so far, we're all winning. The last bit is a dotted crotchet, so that is 1 whole beat taken up by a rest. This has got a dotted crotchet. Now in simple time, it's just going to be a normal crotchet. So it's not going to be that. We just need a normal crotchet. So we've got our answer there. So we can do all this working out on the side. Complete the following 2 sentences by adding a number to each. In 6/16, there are blank dotted quaver beats in a bar. Well, what does 6/16 mean? The bottom number is 16. That's code for semiquaver. The bottom number being 8, code for quaver. The bottom number being 4, code for crotchet. The bottom number being 16 is code for semiquaver. So we've got 6 semiquavers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? But 6 is divisible by 3. 6 is divisible by 3 twice. So that means that there are going to be 2 groups of 3, because it's a compound time signature, because the top number is divisible by 3. So we can do that in 2 groups of 3. So there we've got our 6 semiquavers grouped in 2 groups of 3. So there are 2 beats in this bar. 1 and 2 and. How do we represent 3 semiquavers as 1 singular note? It's going to be a dotted quaver, because we can use our reference up here. A dotted quaver is the same as 3/4, which is 3 semiquavers. And remember, each beat in a compound time signature is going to be a dotted something, as opposed to a normal something. So each beat is going to be a dotted quaver. So that means that we can have 2 dotted quavers in a bar of 6/16. A breve is equal to how many crotchets? Well, a semi-breve is 4, and a breve is worth 8, because semi means half, so a semi-breve is half of a normal breve. Hopefully we know that a breve is 8 beats. And a crotchet is 1 beat. Excellent. If that had been quavers, then it would be 16. If that had been semiquavers, then it would have been 32. So, excellent stuff. Right, that's the first page down. Let's move on. Tick one box to show which bar is grouped correctly. Well, we want to see the strong beats, okay? Where are the strong beats? So we can scribble over here. Strong beats, okay? 9, 4. 9 is divisible by 3. So we're looking at a compound time signature. 9 is divisible by 3 times. So we've got 9 crotchets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We've got 9 crotchets, and we can do it because it's a compound time signature in groups of 3. How many groups of 3? Ironically enough, 3 groups of 3. So we've got 3 crotchets, 3 crotchets, 3 crotchets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Where we've got some strong beats at the start of each group of 3. So we don't want to be beaming any quavers across any strong beats. So we're looking to avoid that. So let's look at where our strong beats are. Beat 1, beat 2, beat 3. So good. We are tied over this strong beat. So this is good so far. 4 semiquavers, that's 1. Crotchet, crotchet. So we've got another 2. So another strong beat going on. And again, we're tied over. So this is looking good. Let's just rule out the other 2. First beat, second beat, third beat. Oh, again, we've tied over a strong beat. 1, 2, 3, 4 semiquavers. That's the same as 1. Then we've got another crotchet here. And then we've got a semi-breve. So where is beat 7? Beat 7 is somewhere in here. We can't have a note just going over that strong beat. We need to have done what's gone on here. And instead of just writing a 4-beat note, it has to be a 1 beat tied to a third beat so we can visually see where the strong beat 7 is, or the third beat. 1 and 2 and 3, and we need to be able to visually see that strong third beat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we can see the strong beats. That's good. So what else is going on here that's wrong? Well, we can group 4 semiquavers together. Okay? Because we're within this beat, we're allowed to do that. Okay? If it was, for example, 2 semiquavers here and 2 semiquavers here, we wouldn't be able to beam across the strong beat. And so we'd have to do what's going on here and break it up. But since we're inside the same beat here, we don't need to break them up. So those should be joined together. So it's definitely our top one. Tick or cross each box to show whether the rests are correct or incorrect. Okay, so look at all this space down here. We could have used that for all of this and also for the first page, all of this space. So let's see what we've got. We've got a bar of 3, 4. And we need to see whether the rests are correct or incorrect. So we need to get to a total of 3. And we need to remember that when we're writing rests, that we avoid dots. Okay, avoid dotted rests. Make sure to still show beats when we can. And empty bars are just represented by this, no matter what the time signature is. If we're in a bar of 3, 4 and we've got an empty bar, we don't have one here, we can still use the dangling rest, even though that's technically also a semi-breve rest, a 4-beat rest. It's also used as an empty bar. So avoid dotted rests, make sure we show the beats, empty bars, keep it neat. So we generally go from small to big. Keep it nice and neat. Okay, we don't jumble these up, but that goes back into showing the beats. So let's look at what we've got. So we've got a dotted quaver. Can we remember what a dotted quaver is? Well, a quaver is a half. So a dotted quaver is plus half of a half plus a quarter, which is the same as 3/4. And a semiquaver is a quarter. So we've got 1, beat here, semiquaver, semiquaver, quaver. Again, we've got another 1, and we've got a 1. So we've definitely got 3 beats in this bar, so that's fine, okay? We can also see that first beat, we can see the second beat, and we can see the third beat. The rests here are neat. We've got a semiquaver, then a semiquaver rest, then a quaver, so it goes small to big. We've not gone semiquaver rest, quaver rest, semiquaver rest, meaning it's kind of weirdly sandwiched. It's nice and progressive and neat, so this is good. What about the next bar? We've got a quaver and a quaver, so that's the same as 1. We've got a semiquaver rest and a crotchet with a triplet sign above it. This looks a bit nasty, so let's come back to that in a second. And then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 semiquavers, so that's the same as 1. So for this to be a correct bar of 3, 4, we need this middle bit to add up to a crotchet as well. So let's see what we've got. We've got a semiquaver rest, okay, and a crotchet, and we've got a triplet over it, okay? So a triplet, 3 things underneath the triplet umbrella are the same as 2 regular things. So we need to make this equal 3 things. So a semiquaver and a crotchet. Can we break this crotchet down into something? We could break the crotchet down into 2 quavers that are tied together effectively. But that's still a semiquaver, a quaver, and a quaver. We can't break that down even more. We can't make this even. We can't make this nice, okay? So this doesn't work, okay? This doesn't work. How can we make this equal 1? Well, if that semiquaver rest was actually a quaver rest, then if we do what we did down here, if it was just a regular quaver rest and that crotchet is the same as we just said, 2 quavers. So then we've got quaver, 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 which is going to be the same as 2 regular quavers. So if it was a quaver rest, this would be the same as 2 quavers, which would give us 1. But instead it's a semiquaver rest, so this is wrong. Last one, we've got a crotchet, 1, a crotchet, 2, and we've got 4 semiquavers, which is another 1. We can C beat 1, we can C beat 2, we can C beat 3. Lovely. That's good. On to the next page. We're on pitch. Okay, so add a tick to a box to show the name of this note. So it's the tenor clef. What do we do with this? Tenor clef. Where is middle C? Middle C is on the 4th line where it sandwiches. So if that's middle C, okay, you can do one of 2 things. You can then just count down and go C, B, A, G, F, E, D, blah, 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 blah. Or we can remember what our cheats are, okay? So if we pretend that this is treble clef, that looks like a D, but actually it's a C. So tenor clef, the cheat is down 1 note. Because if you pretend that's treble clef, it looks like a D, but it's actually a C. D to C. So if we do our cheat, that looks like a B. So go down 1 note. That is an A. Okay, let's double check that by counting down. So that's going to be C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C, B, A. I mean, you can work it down like that as well to double check. Tick 1 box to show the correct enharmonic equivalent of this note. Okay, so we've got an E. Okay, so what is E going to be the same as? Okay, what can we represent E as a D? What can we represent E as an F? How do we get to E from F? F flat. There isn't a black note in between E and F. So F flat means F down a semitone, which is the same as an E. D sharp, that takes us to an E flat, so it can't be that. So it's actually D double sharp. So it's either going to be F flat or D double sharp. So it's not D sharp. There's our F flat, and F is just plain wrong. So we can work all of this out by scribbling on the paper. You might be thinking, oh, well, I'm just doing this because I'm doing this video. No, this is what you do. You scribble all this down. You do it to basically give you the answer, because you've got all the ability inside your head. You just need to write it down and help you get to that answer. Okay, here is a bar written for clarinet in A. The bar has been transposed down a minor third. Right, let's stop right there. What is a minor third? Okay, we can either remember what our small intervals are. A minor second is a semitone. A major second is a tone. a minor third is 3 semitones, and a major third is 2 tones. Okay, so our small intervals we can try to remember. So then minor third is 3 semitones. Okay, don't forget that it's still a third, so if it's a D, it's going to be some kind of B. If it's a B, it's going to be some kind of G, A is some kind of F, E some kind of C. No matter what, it's still a third, even though it is 3 semitones. Or we can try and, if we can't remember our small intervals, let's do a basic minor third. What's C, upper minor third? Well, it's going to be some kind of E. In C major, there is an E, so this is a major third. Now it's a minor third by squeezing it smaller by 1 semitone. What's C to E flat? It's 3 semitones. So we can do some working out there. So let's have a look at what our key signature is. 2 sharps. So we're in D major, okay? Down a minor third. So down a third, let's just do down a third. It's going to be some kind of B. D is going to be some kind of B. B is going to be some kind of G. A is going to be some kind of F. And E is going to be some kind of C, okay? So those are what the types of notes are going to be because of it being a third. Now let's work it out as 3 semitones. D down 3 semitones, C sharp, C, B. So B is correct. What is in B major? I can't remember what's in B major. Oh, look at all this space. Am I talking about sharps or flats? Flats are either F major, 1 flat, or they're called blah flat major. So we're definitely talking about sharps, because it's not C major either. So let's write out the sharps. F sharp, Father Charles goes down and ends battle. That we can remember. How do we name sharps? We go to the last sharp and upper semitone. So how do we get B major? Well, that would be G major, D major, A major, E major, B major, last sharp upper semitone. So B major has got 5 sharps in it, okay? F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp. We're missing A sharp. So that key signature is wrong. D down a third, we said was going to be some kind of B. Down 3 semitones, it's the same as the key, so we should be getting a B. We do have a B. That's right. B flat down a third is going to be some kind of G. Down 3 semitones, A flat, G, so we should have a G natural. We do have a G natural. Excellent. A down a third, we said was going to be some kind of F. Down 3 semitones from A flat, G, F sharp. So we should have an F sharp. But we've got an F natural. So my brain is like, wait, maybe I miscounted. Let's just check what the distance between A and F natural is. A flat, G, F sharp, F. That is definitely 4 semitones. That's definitely wrong. That should be an F sharp. E down a third, we said it should be some kind of C. E down 3 semitones. E flat, D, D flat. Is this a D flat? No, we said it was going to be some kind of C. So not a D flat, but a C sharp. So let's do that again. E flat, D, C sharp. So we should be having a C sharp. Is this a C sharp? Well, according to the key signature, yes, it is. So that is wrong, yes, yes, wrong, yes. And so we've done all that working out to help us get there. Compare bars A, B, and C, and then circle true or false for each of the 3 statements. Okay, another thing with clefs. What are we going to do? Middle C is there. Bass clef, middle C is there. Alto clef, middle C is there. Let's look at where our first note is. Sorry, where have I scribbled? See? Careless mistake, even from me. Okay? I'm trying to look at 2 things at once. So, middle C, 1 ledge line below, middle C, 1 ledge line above, and with tenor and alto, it's the line that they sandwich. So it's on the 3rd line. Okay, let's look at where our first note is. It's upper 3rd. Where's our first note? It's down a 6th. Where's our first note? It's upper 3rd. So, if our first note is a 3rd above middle C here, and our first note is a 3rd above middle C here, that must mean that A and C, they're identical in pitch because of their location in reference to middle C. A and C are identical. What does that mean about B? Well, instead of being a 3rd above middle C, it's a 6th below. So that should tell you that B is a whole octave underneath A and C. So, in terms of middle C, scribbling on middle C and writing on upper 3rd, down a 6th, upper 3rd, we can see visually where they are. A and B are at the same pitch. No, they're not, because look at where their notes are in reference to middle C. B is 1 octave lower than C. That is true. A sixth below middle C, a third above middle C. So they are separated by an octave, and B is an octave lower. Yes, it is. C is 1 octave higher than A. That's not true, because C and A are identical. Excellent. So hopefully we can see how we got there. Next page. Keys and scales. Okay, tick one box to show the correctly written key signature of B major. Okay, so we're looking for 5 sharps, and we did B major on that previous page, but you've got all this space here if you want to write out the sharps again. Write out the order of the sharps, write out the order of the flats. Okay, here we go. But all of them have got 5 sharps, and all of these have got 6 flats. So what's it asking for? It's asking us for our position. With sharps, we have our zigzag pattern, but A goes down the octave. With flats, we have our zigzag pattern, B flat to E flat, and flats keep going all the way. Sharps, flats. What's the one that we have to look out for? It's tenor clef in the sharp key, because that just keeps going with its zigzag pattern similar to the flats. So tenor clef, sharps, goes digga 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 digga, and just, so that's the black sheep that we have to look out for. So we've got our zigzag pattern here. So alto clef, F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, A sharp. Okay, A sharp should have gone down the octave. With sharps, it's only tenor clef which doesn't do the A sharp down the octave, so it's not you. F sharp, that's not a C sharp. That right there is on the D line, so that's just written badly and incorrect. Bass clef, F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, and that would be correct if that was on the A, but that right there is on the second line. That is a B, so you've got to look carefully. And tenor clef, F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, A sharp, carrying on with its pattern like the tenor clef does, and doesn't go down the octave for the A. So tenor clef is the correct answer. So if we can't remember what's going on, then in reference to middle C on the alto clef is the third line. So pretend that that's treble clef. It looks like a B, but it's actually a C. So alto clef is up 1 note. Tenor clef, we remember from before, is down 1 note. Bass clef is up 2 notes, and we can hopefully read treble clef. So we can scribble all of that out in the reference of middle C and our cheats if we're using the cheat. Okay, tick one box to show for E flat minor. So we're looking at positions: B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat. That's not a D flat. Again, we can write out all the flats over here so we can see which flats we're looking for, and we can see which sharps we're looking for here. Father Charles goes down and ends battle. Battle ends and now goes Charles's father. Or Father Christmas, electric blanket, and exploding blanket, cold feet, and all that. Bass clef, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, C flat. That looks good. Follows the zigzag pattern. Tenor clef, B flat. No, that's not a B flat, because with tenor clef, the cheat is to go down 1 note. That's a G flat, that's a C flat, that's an F flat, that's a B flat. That's wrongly written for the tenor clef. And alto clef, the cheat was to go up 1 note. We're starting with E flat and then B flat. That's the wrong way around. So it's definitely bass clef. So scribbling out what our cheats are in reference to middle C, remembering what our zigzag patterns are and the stupid tenor clef sharp that breaks the rules, writing out our sharps and flats. Circle the correct key of each of these 3 melodies. G minor, D major, G major, and F sharp major. So let's have a look at what we've got in A. We've only got an F sharp. There is literally nothing else going on. So is there a major key that explains F sharp on its own? Yes, there is, because G major has F sharp, because F sharp is the first sharp. If there was just 1 sharp and it was, for example, G sharp, there isn't a major scale, a major key signature that explains having G sharp on its own, because to have G sharp, that's the 3rd sharp. If we have the order of the sharps written out up here, F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, you can't have G sharp unless you have F sharp and C sharp as well. So if there was G sharp here, we'd have to have F sharp and C sharp. So we're looking for that kind of thing. Can a major key explain what's going on here? If yes, great. If no, something else is going to happen. So let's have a look at B. So what's going on here? We've got sharps, we've got A sharp, F sharp. Take your time if you're struggling to read the bass clef. A lot of ledger lines here, so take your time making sure that you are reading the right note. Okay, bass clef sheet was up 2 notes. Looks like an F, go up 2 notes, it's A. Looks like a D, it's an F sharp. Looks like an A, so it's a C sharp. Okay, take your time. Is there a major key that explains all 3 of these? Well, there isn't, because F sharp and C sharp, if they were on their own, that's great. They're the first 2 sharps, so it'd be in D major. But we've got A sharp as well. A sharp is the 5th sharp. Okay, so if we had the 5th sharp, let's write out the order of the sharps down here. So F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, A sharp. Okay, A sharp is the 5th sharp here. So if we had a major key signature that had A sharp in it, we would need to have all 4 of these as well. Do we have F sharps? Yes. Do we have C sharps? Yes. Do we have G sharps? There aren't any Gs for us to check. So that's ambiguous. So that's annoying. D sharp, we do have some Ds. We've got some D naturals, not D sharps. So this cannot be explained by one major key signature. It cannot be explained by one major key signature at all. So what does that mean? That means that we must be in a minor key, and one of these notes is a red flag telling us that we're in a minor key. Not only that, but that red flag is going to be, more than likely, the raised 7th of a harmonic minor. Okay? So if a major key does not explain what's going on, which it doesn't, we need to be looking at alternatives, at some minors. Okay? So F sharp and C sharp, they're great. A sharp is the annoying one. A sharp right here, this is a red flag. This is an absolute red flag because this doesn't fit at all. F sharp and C sharp, the first 2 sharps, D major, that's lovely. It's A sharp that's confusing the party. So if A sharp is the red flag, and therefore A sharp is potentially the raised 7th, if A sharp is the raised 7th, then what's the tonic going to be? It's going to be B. Raised 7th, up to the tonic, B. So B minor would have a raised 7th of an A sharp. Does B minor also answer F sharp and C sharp? Well, B minor's relative major is D major, because relatives are separated by 3 semitones. B minor and D major. So both B minor and D major share the same key signature of 2 sharps, F sharp and C sharp. So B minor has got F sharp and C sharp, and also a raised 7th of a B, of an A even. So B minor is our answer. It can't be D major because A sharp isn't explained. F sharp minor, that would be the same as A major, which would be F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp. But a raised 7th in F sharp minor would be an E sharp. We don't have any E sharps here, so we can rule that one out as well. A major, well, we've got A sharp, so we can't possibly have an A natural and an A sharp in the same key. So definitely B minor, relative major of D major explaining the 2 sharps, the red flag being the raised 7th in B. And the third one, what have we got going on here? We've got more sharps. Let's see, we've got G sharp, D sharp, F sharp, and we've got C sharp. So we've got 4 sharps going on here. Is there a major key signature which explains this away? Do we have the 1st sharp? Yes. Do we have the 2nd sharp? Yes. Do we have the 3rd sharp? Yes. Do we have the 4th sharp? Yes. So we've got the first 4 sharps, F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, and D sharp. So all 4 sharps are explained away by a major key signature. There's nothing else going on. There's nothing funky. What's 4 sharps? Last sharp and upper semitone is E major. If we were in A major, there'd only be 3 sharps, so the D sharp isn't explained. If we were in G sharp minor or B major, these are relatives of each other, they're 3 semitones apart, so we'd have 5 sharps with these 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'd also have A sharps. We don't have A sharps, we've got A naturals, so we can definitely rule those 2 out, and that one out. So hopefully you can see with all this working out how we got to those answers. And everything I've scribbled on here, I'll emphasize, this is what you do. This is what you're allowed to do. And this is what you're encouraged to do. So scribble out your writing, your thinking process, use the paper, use the time wisely. Tick one box to show which notes are needed to complete the scale of B flat harmonic minor. Okay? Harmonic minor. Okay, so we've got major scale. Well, we don't need to do anything with that. But natural minor is nothing. Harmonic minor equals raised seventh. And melodic minor equals raised sixth and seventh, but coming down is natural. But we don't care about melodic because it's asking about harmonic, so we're focusing on the harmonic. So we need to know what the relative major is. We need to add that key signature in, and then we need to raise the seventh. So B flat harmonic minor. B flat minor is going to have the relative of what major key signature? So we have to go up 3 semitones. B, C, D flat major. What's in the key signature of D flat major? Well, let's write out the order of the flats. B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat. Battle ends and down goes Charles's father. So there's our order of the flats. How do we name a flat key? We look at the second to last flat and we're done. So if we're in D flat major, that must be the second to last flat. So there must be 5 flats. Because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If we've got all 5 flats, what's the second to last flat? The second to last flat is D flat, so it's D flat major. So we've got 5 flats. We've got B flat, E flat. So that would be an E flat, A flat. Hang on, wherever. Sorry, that's the E flat. B flat, E flat, A flat. That would be here. D flat, we've got that there, and G flat, so that would be a G flat. So we've taken our 5 flats from D flat major, and we've made sure that they are there. B flat at the top and the bottom, E flat's right there, A flat would be there, D flat's there, and G flat would be there. So harmonic minor, we need to raise the 7th. So the 6th is fine, so we can put that G flat in, and that's going to be fine. This should be an A flat, but that would be a natural minor. We need to raise it by a semitone for it to be harmonic. How do we raise an A flat by a semitone? We make it an A natural. So we make that an A natural. We don't need to put a natural symbol there, but now we're happy with la na ya na 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 na. Follows the key signature, but the 7th has been raised from an A flat to an A natural. So X, right there, that's an A. And Y, that's a G flat. So scribbling out the order of the flats, working out the relative major, reminding ourselves of what a harmonic minor has, which is a raised 7th, and we can work all that out. Circle 1 clef for each scale to form minor scales. Now this is the particular new style of question for the online exams, which are quite tricky. What do? Remind ourselves, where's middle C? Okay, remind ourselves of the cheat. Up 2, up 1, down 1. So that's already going to be very, very helpful. Okay, so to form minor scales. Okay, so how do we know that we're going to be making a minor scale? Well, the rules when we've got scales, we can't have 2 gaps of a semitone next to each other. For example, let's see if I can find something here. I can't think of anything. No, I can't think of anything off the top of my head. But for example, if it went B, C, D flat, then that would be a semitone, a semitone. We can't have 2 lots of semitones. We can't start with a semitone. Unless we're doing a chromatic scale, a scale can't start with a semitone, so like B to a C. So already, we've ruled out treble clef here. Yeah, so it can't be treble clef. What about if it was bass clef? Then that would be D, E, F, G, A, B flat, C sharp, D. Does anything look untoward here? We've not got two semitones next to each other. We've not started with a semitone. The largest gap that we can have is 3 semitones in a minor scale. That's going to be between the 6th and the 7th in a harmonic minor. La da 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 ya da. So we can only have a gap of 3 semitones as a largest gap, and it can only happen right at the top. It can't happen anywhere in the middle, and it can only happen once. So some good little rules to remember: no 2 semitone gaps. We can't start with a semitone, and we can't have a gap larger than 3 semitones. So we've got a tone, a semitone, a tone, a tone, a semitone, 3 semitones between the 6th and the 7th, and a semitone there. So this is looking very good for bass clef. Let's rule out alto clef. So alto clef up 1 note. Looks like a B. It's a C, D, E, F, G, A flat, B sharp, C. Here's another rule: we can't have 2 of the same note. We can't have a B sharp and a C in the same scale, because B sharp is the same as C. La da 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 na 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 na. We can't have 2 of the same note, so it can't be alto clef. Tenor clef, down 1 note. A, B, C, D, E, F flat. And we can scribble that out down here. A, B, C, D, E, F flat, G sharp, A. E to F flat, that's the same note. So we can't have E to F flat, so it can't be tenor clef. So yes, it's definitely bass clef. And we can do that with all 3 of these, okay? All of this working out, pretending that you're in each clef, reminding yourself what the question asks for, knowing what to look out for that isn't allowed. So let's look at B, okay? Pretend that we're in treble clef. We've got D sharp, E sharp, F. Straight away, E sharp to F. That's the same note. Bass clef, up 2. F sharp, G sharp, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D sharp, E sharp, F sharp. That's a tone. That's a semitone. That's a tone. That's a tone. That's a tone. That's a tone. That's a semitone. We've got nothing bigger than 3 semitones. We've not got 2 semitones next to each other. We've not got 2 of the same note. Again, it's looking good for bass clef. Alto clef, up 1 note. E sharp, F sharp. That's just started with a semitone. E sharp to F sharp. Can't be that. Tenor clef, down 1 as our cheat. C sharp, D sharp, E, F. We've got 3 semitones there if we did that. And again, obviously, I'm running out of space here, but you can have your notepad, or you can scribble down here. You could scribble C sharp, D sharp, E, F, and be able to see that you've got a semitone there and a semitone there. So it can't be tenor clef either. So looking at what to rule out and going through each clef. We've so far got bass clef and bass clef. Okay, and finally, if this was treble clef, what have we got? We've got G, F, E flat, D, C, B flat, A, and G. Don't forget, with this starting of a semitone, start with a semitone, that's obviously coming from the bottom going up, so going this way, yeah? Obviously coming down, you can have a semitone, la na 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 na, okay? But going up, we can't have a semitone. So let's see. We're not starting with a semitone. What have we got? We've got a tone, semitone, tone, tone, semitone, tone. So passing the rules there, nothing bigger than 3 semitones. We've not got 2 of the same note. It's looking very good for treble clef there. Bass clef. This would be B, A, G flat, F, E, D flat, C, B. So we're starting with a semitone at the bottom, and we've got E to F to G flat. That's a double semitone action. No bass clef. I'll just quickly go through these. Alto clef, up 1 note. A, G, F flat, E. F flat to E. We can't have F flat to E. That's the same note. Tenor clef, down 1 note. F, E, D flat, C, B. D flat, C, B right here. D flat, C, B if we're in tenor clef. So again, 2 semitones. So it can't be that. So using our page wisely, scribbling out all of these notes, and we've got to the answer. Circle true or false for each statement. Alto clef. Alto clef, the cheat was to go up 1 note. So let's write out all of these notes. Up one note, pretending it's treble clef, and up one note. C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C. Chromatic scale, everything is in semitones. Dum 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 dum. That's true. That's correct. That's lovely. Okay, what about this one? It's bass clef. What was the cheat? The cheat was up two notes. So E flat, D, D flat, C, C flat, B, B flat, A, G, G flat, F, F flat, E flat. Is this chromatic? Semitone, 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 C flat to B. That's the same note, C flat and B, so this isn't correct. Carrying on, B, B flat, A straight to G. We've not got A flat or G in between these two. G flat, F, F flat, E flat. So yeah, that's not right at all. We're missing some crucial things there. Circle true or false with each statement. This is the leading note in B major. Look at all this space down here. What am I going to write? I'm going to write tonic, supertonic, mediant, subdominant, dominant, submediant, leading note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we need to know the special names and the order that they go in. The leading note in B major. So the seventh note in B major. So the seventh note in B major, what's going to be in B major? Scribble out your sharps. Work out what's in B major, which has got 5 sharps in, but we've already done B major on a few pages before. We know that there are 5 sharps: F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, and A sharp. Go up the scale. La da 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 da. The leading note is also 1 semitone below the tonic. So we can just go down a semitone from B to give us an A sharp. True. The subdominant in A minor. The subdominant is the 4th. A, B, C, D. So we should have a D. That looks like a D, but we're in bass clef. That's actually an F. The submediant in F sharp minor. The submediant is the 6th. F sharp minor. So we're going to be, let's just ignore accidentals for now and just go F, G, A, B, C, D. We should have some kind of D. We do have some kind of D, so we need to think about this a little bit more to make sure that we know what's going on. F sharp minor. Relative major. Up 3 semitones. A major. What's in A major? Did you write the sharps out up here? Then you'll know that A major has got 3 sharps. F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp. So F sharp minor would also have F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp. Does that mean that the D is affected? Might be affected if it's the harmonic minor. That would be the raised 7th, but that would be an E sharp. So nothing to worry about there. Might be affected if it was the melodic minor. It could be a D sharp in the melodic minor, but it doesn't say anything about melodic, it just says minor. So we can happily disregard the fact that we might be in melodic or harmonic. And yes, that's going to be a D. That's okay. Relative major of F sharp minor, A major, 3 sharps, F sharp, G sharp, A, B. Oh yeah, submediant, sorry, I've circled that from that one. B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp. So we're going to have the D there. If it was the melodic minor, then yeah, that would be a D sharp. But it doesn't say anything about melodic or harmonic, so we don't need to worry about that. So that is a D. Intervals. Okay, key signatures and everything. I hope we've got them all written out. We've got all of this space up here to do so. Okay, a B to an E. B up to an E. Okay, so that would be B, C, D, E. That would be a 4th, but it's plus an octave. So it's a compound 4th, or if we counted it all the way, that would be an 11th. Okay, so we're looking for a compound 4th or an 11th. So we've got a compound 4th, 11th there, compound 4th there, major 10th. So we know it's not going to be major 10th. Okay, we at least know that. Okay, intervals pretend to be in the key of the bottom note. B major, we've had a lot of B major in this paper, a lot of sharps, okay? In B major, there's 5 sharps, F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, and A sharp. So this key signature is misleading. There should also be an A sharp if you're in B major. Does the E get affected? No, it does not with that key signature. So an E belongs in B major. So this is a correct interval. What word do we use to describe correct intervals with fourths? It's perfect. Fourths, fifths, and octaves are perfect. 2, 3, 6, and 7. Fourths, fifths, and octaves. They're major and they're perfect. And we can scribble all that out. They go to being minor and then diminished. They go straight to being diminished. And they both go to being augmented if they're made bigger. So we can just scribble out our little table there. So this is a correct fourth. So it's a perfect compound fourth. That's not an option. Oh, sorry, compound perfect. Yeah, other way around. Compound perfect fourth. So there it is. It's not augmented. It's not diminished. So yeah, it's definitely a compound perfect fourth. Bass clef, up 2 notes. Looks like an E, it's a G. Looks like a B flat, it's a D flat. G to D flat. G to D, that's going to be some kind of fifth. So it's not the fourths, so it's going to be some kind of fifth. So okay, in G major, we have F sharp. So we'd have a normal D. So for it to be a perfect fifth, it would have to be G to D. It's a D flat, it's been made smaller than what it should be by 1 semitone. So it's diminished. Perfect, when they're made smaller by a semitone, become diminished straight away. They don't become minors. Excellent. What's this down here? We need to make sure that we can read all these ledger lines. So if we're struggling, then we can write C, B, A, G, F, and make sure that we know what note we're talking about. F up to a G. So that would be a second, but it's plus an octave. So it's a compound second, or if you count all the way, it's a ninth. So we're looking for a compound second, not a normal second. It would have to be a compound second, or a ninth. So it's not a tenth. So it's either the compound minor second, or it's a major ninth. What kind of G would we get in F major? We'd get a normal G. So this G does belong. So this is a correct interval. So it's a correct compound second or a correct ninth, major ninth. It's not a minor second. Circle the type of each interval. D to an F. D to an F. Okay? So we don't need to worry about the size of it, we just need to look at the type of it. In D major, what kind of F would we get? It should be an F sharp. So it's actually been made smaller than what it should be by a semitone. It's a third that's been made smaller than what it should be by a semitone. A third would be a major if correct, and a minor if made smaller by a semitone. So it's a minor. Bass clef looks like a G, it's actually a B flat. Looks like an E, it's a G. So that's B flat to G. What kind of G do we get in B flat major? We get a regular G because B flat major's just got B flat and E flat. Again, all this space to write out your key signatures, your order of your sharps, your order of your flats, you can scribble it all out here. So B flat to G is a correct interval. What size of interval is it? B flat, C, D, E flat, F, G. It's a sixth. Sixth is the major category, not perfect. So it's a major sixth, major interval. And treble clef, F sharp to E flat. Okay, so this looks a bit nasty. In F sharp major, what do we have? So if we had our F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, A sharp, E sharp, B sharp, G major, D major, A major, E major, B major, F sharp major. So we've got 6 sharps to worry about. Is one of those sharps, is E therefore affected? Yes, it should be an E sharp. So F sharp to E sharp is correct, and it's a 7th. So F sharp to E sharp would be major. Smaller by 1 semitone would be an E natural, so that would make it a minor interval, but it's an E flat, so it's been made smaller by 2 semitones. So it's diminished. And we can use all of this space to work that out. What would it have to be correct? Smaller by a semitone, smaller by 2 semitones. Work your way to the answer. Take your time. We've not even hit an hour yet. We're a few seconds off hitting an hour, and we've got 2 hours to do all of this. Write notes to form the named intervals. Your note should be higher than the given note. Okay? Compound perfect fifth above a C sharp, minor seventh above a B flat, augmented 12th above a C, minor third above a G. Okay. So, again, if we've got all this space to be writing our key signatures, etc., C sharp. So in C sharp major, if I hadn't have scribbled out that B sharp, we'll be able to go G major, D major, A major, E major, B major, F sharp major. C sharp major has got all 7 sharps in C sharp major. So a perfect fifth, so a correct fifth. So what's a fifth above C? It's a G. So what kind of G would we need? We'd need a G sharp in C sharp major. Okay? But that's just a normal perfect fifth. This is saying a compound perfect fifth. So make sure that you read it. So we have to add an octave. So up we go. So now we've got a compound perfect fifth. G sharp belongs in C sharp major. Minor seventh. Okay, well, what's a seventh above B flat? We're going to have some kind of A. Okay, we're going to have some kind of A. In B flat major, B flat, E flat. Second to last flat is the name of the key. So we've got 2 flats. So an A belongs. So B flat to an A would be a major seventh. It wants a minor seventh, so we need to make this smaller than what it should be by a semitone. So make it an A flat. And now we've got our minor seventh. Augmented 12th above a C. Okay, so C, let's just count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. C, D, E, F, G. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So it's going to be C to a G up the octave. Okay, so not this G, but this G up here. Okay, so now we've got a 12th going on. Okay, in C major, we'd have a regular G. So this is actually a correct 12th. Okay, so it's a perfect 12th because if you put it down the octave, it will be a fifth. Okay, it's a compound fifth or a 12th. So it would be a perfect fifth if it was a G natural, but it's asking for an augmented fifth, so it wants it to make it bigger than what it should be. So make it a G sharp and we're all good. That's bigger than what it should be by a semitone. And a minor third above a G. Well, a G up a third is going to be some kind of B. In G major, we get a B natural because G major has just got F sharp. So this would be a correct third, so this would be a major third. Want it to make it smaller by 1 semitone. So if you make it a B flat, that's now smaller by a semitone. So we've now got our minor third. Intervals done. On to chords. Okay, we can scribble a lot out here to help us going on. Okay, chords 1, 2, 4, or 5. Okay, let's use over here. 1, 2, 4, and 5. These are the chords that we want to work out. What key are we in? We're in G major. It's just 1 sharp, which is G major. The alternative is E minor. G major is relative minor. If we were in E minor, we'd see a raised 7th of a D sharp, which we don't. We're all fine. Unless the question says we're in G major. No, it doesn't. Sometimes it tells you what key we're in. Like down here it says D major, F major. But sometimes it has to make you work it out. So we're in G major. So that would mean that the first note is G, the second note is A, the fourth note is C, the fifth note is D. Make sure that we're counting that, not automatically pilot going 1, 2, 3. You could write out all of them, but you only need to write out 1, 2, 4, or 5. Now build up the chords. Hopefully we know how to build up the chords. And don't forget that it is F sharp because of that key signature. So it's note, miss a note, note, miss a note, note. Okay? 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5. So we've now got our 4 chords. Okay, which chord would best suit this? What can we disregard? When we've got too many notes, we can disregard passing notes or beats that or notes that are off the beat. Okay? So A, E, D, and C don't all fit into one chord. Let's get rid of this passing note off the beat, and we're left with A, C, and E. A, C, and E are all in chord 2. and we can just use this as our reference. D and F sharp. Don't have an F sharp. Don't have either. Don't have either. D and F sharp are both in chord 5. B, G, and D, they're all in chord 1. B, G, and D, so that's chord 1. We don't even need to disregard any. C, E, D, C, G, they're not all in there, so let's get rid of a passing note. E, D, C, we get rid of that offbeat passing note. C, E, C, and G, they're now all in chord 4. Even if we got rid of this G, that would leave us with C and E, so that could potentially also be chord 2. So we need to make sure we only get rid of the passing notes sometimes. So when we've got a scalic movement, yeah, E, D, C, you can get rid of the offbeat passing note. But if it's not a passing note and there's a big leap, don't get rid of it until you really have to. And finally, B, D, and G, all in chord 1. Nice, 5 points. That's a really good points answer. That could be the difference between passing and failing those 5 points. Nice, easy questions. Okay, D major. Okay, imperfect, plagal, and perfect. Before, they didn't ask you to name these, they just asked you to do the chords. So now they're asking you to name the type of cadences. Can we remember what they are? Well, let's go over here and write them out. Perfect is 5 to 1. Imperfect is anything to 5. And plagal is 4 to 1. Instead of perfect 5 to 1, plagal is 4 to 1. So we've got our reference here of which cadences, which chords which each cadence uses. Okay, now we need to do the same table from up here and do it for down here. So D major. Okay, so fundamentally we need chords 1, 4, and 5. We might need something else, so let's do 1, 4, and 5 to start off with. D major. 1, 4, and 5. D, G, and A. Build up the chord. F sharp and A. B and D. C sharp and E. Make sure you remember that key signature. So the F's are sharp, the C's are sharp. Okay, square bracket here. We've got A's, C sharp, and E. That's chord 5. We've got D, F sharp, D, and an A. D, F sharp, and A. That's chord 1. Chord 5 to chord 1. Perfect. Doesn't finish on chord 5. That's not chord 4. That's definitely perfect. Okay, F major. Let's do the same thing. Chord 1, chord 4, chord 5. F, B flat, and C. F, A, C, B flat, D, F, C, E, and G. What have we got here? We've got B flat, D, and F. That's chord 4. And here we've got F, A, F, C. F, A, and C. That's chord 1. That's chord 4 to 1. That's plagal is 4 to 1. Not perfect because it's not 5 to 1. It's 4 to 1. And again, we're not finishing on 5, so it's definitely not imperfect. So we've got perfect and plagal. Again, some nice points there for just writing out these chords and taking your time with those. Tick one box to name each of the 3 marked chords. The key is C minor. Okay, so again, 1, 2, 4, and 5. 1, 2, 4, 5. C minor. C, D, 1, 2, 4 is F. E flat will be 3. We're not writing that out. And 5 is G. Build up the chords. Look at this key signature. Make sure we do the right notes. E flat, G, F, A, C, B flat, D. So now we've got our notes. And this is also asking for their correct inversion. Now remember that A would mean this note is on the bottom. B would mean this note is on the bottom. C would mean this note is on the bottom. So our handy little table here tells us the answer. Chord A. What have we got? We've got G as the lowest note. E flat, G, and Z. C, E flat, and G is chord 1. And G is the lowest note. So it's chord 1, where G is the lowest note. So it's 1, C. B. A flat, C, F, C. I didn't write A flat. I didn't write A flat. I didn't do my thing. But that's... everyone can make these mistakes, okay? That's why you've got all this time to take your time and to scribble all of this out. Because mistakes can easily happen. So go over things. Here we go. A flat, C, F, C. A flat, C, and F is chord 4. The lowest note is A flat, so it's chord 4B. Chord C, we've got G, B naturals, okay? All the B's are naturals in this piece, because it looks like we're in C harmonic minor. So that B is natural. Any other B's? No. G, B natural, and D. G, B natural, and D, chord 5. And G is the lowest note. So that's chord 5A. So that page can give us a nice 10 marks by just writing out our chord sheets and taking our time with it. Terms, signs, and instruments. This is a case of, do we know our musical definitions and terms? This isn't something that can be helped. This is a case of looking at that list of vocab and trying your best to memorize them. It's not easy, but that's all these 3 points are. Do you know these words? Morendo, dying away. Morse, it's death. Largamente, broadly. Okay, largo is a slow tempo, yeah? Slow and broad, largamente. And mesto means sad. So, can't help you with that, other than you need to just know your words. So, that's an annoying 3 marks, but thankfully it's only 3 marks. So, don't worry too much about that. Okay, tick one box to see what the ornaments are that are written out, okay? An appoggiatura is the little note before a note, which spreads things out. That's not going on here. An upper turn is where we go a note, up to a note, and then back to the note. So just a single flick upwards. Now that would be an upper mordant. Sorry, I'm on autopilot. That would be an upper mordant. That doesn't happen here either. An upper turn would go up, back to the note, and then would go down again, because we're following the pattern of the turn. So it would go da 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 da. Upper tone is the Gabriel's oboe. Not that. A trill is where we have a note and we keep going to the note above it a few times. Oh, look. There we go. Trill. Next one, okay? Acciaccatura, very similar to the appoggiatura, but it's got the little line through it, meaning that it's really squeezed in, kind of thing. So it would kind of be played like a semiquaver, like better. So that's just like a little extra note squeezed beforehand. Better, it's not that. Upper turn, okay, similar to what we did here. Does it play a note up, back to the same note, down, back to the same note, upper turn around the note. Up, back, down, up. That follows the pattern of an upper turn right there. So it's looking like that. It's not a trill because it's not going. And a lower mordant, the same as a turn, but it just does the single thing. So down and back, done. And an upper turn, upper mordant. It doesn't do that because it definitely goes up straight away. So not a lower mordant, and it also does more notes than in a mordant. So definitely an upper turn. So scribbling out what your options are and remembering what an appoggiatura is, what an acciaccatura is, what these things are. You do need to know what those symbols mean, what those ornaments mean. True or false for each of the following 5 statements. The flute usually plays at a higher pitch than the bassoon. True, okay? Woodwind instruments. You've got flute, clarinet, oboe, and bassoon. Bassoon is the low one, flute is the high one. The trumpet is a woodwind instrument. As I just listed the woodwind instruments, you hopefully didn't hear the word trumpet. The trumpet is part of the brass family. The brass family being trumpet, trombone, French horn, tuba. Cymbals produce sounds of definite pitch. Definite pitch meaning that they play pitched notes, like a xylophone, like it looks like a piano. It produces notes. A glockenspiel, the timpani produces definite pitch. You can tune the timp to play certain notes. So notes which don't produce definite pitch are things which just make sound, noise, like the cymbals or the woodblock, things like that. So cymbals produce sound at definite pitch. No, they do not. The horn uses a double reed. The horn is a member of the brass family, not the woodwind family. So absolutely not. Double reed woodwind instruments are the oboe and the bassoon. Single reed woodwind instruments are the clarinet and the saxophone. The saxophone sometimes is in an orchestra, but not always. And the flute doesn't use a reed. A mezzo-soprano voice has a lower range than a soprano voice. So in a choir, you've got soprano, alto, tenor, bass. Mezzo, like mezzo forte, so it's a little bit loud. So mezzo-soprano is a medium, a half soprano. So it goes in between soprano and alto. That's where the mezzo-soprano is. So mezzo-soprano has a lower range than soprano voice. Yes, it does. It's just underneath. So true. Music in context. So we've got an extract of music, and it's going to ask us some questions. Compare the following bars to the right-hand part of bar 2 of the melody, then tick the one correct statement. So we've got some clef situations going on. Where's middle C? Where's our first note? Our first note is a sixth above middle C, a second below middle C, a second below middle C. So B and C are identical because they are both one note or a second below middle C. A is a sixth above middle C, so A is an octave higher. Is an octave higher than here. And this is compared to bar 2 of the melody. Bar 2 of the melody is right here. Middle C in the treble clef is all the way down here. So not only is it... did I do that right? Yes, I did, yeah. Not only is it above middle C by 1 octave, it's above middle C by nearly 2 octaves, okay? So it's really, really high up there, okay? So the first note here is a B, that's right, the first note here is a B, first note here is a B, first note here is a B, so great, this is lovely, this is very good. So yeah, I didn't mean a sixth, did I? I meant a seventh above middle C. Duh. Silly mark, that's what I was doing. But either way, it's not a seventh, it's a seventh plus an octave. So that is a compound seventh above middle C, right there. So what does this tell us? B and C are identical. A is an octave above B and C. And the original is an octave above A, and it's 2 octaves above B and C. So in relation to middle C, we can see that. So the original, what was it, bar 2? If bar 2 is here, I keep hitting things. If bar 2 is there, the alto clef, so A, is 1 octave below. And examples B and C are again another octave. So that's 1 octave there between those, and 2 octaves there. So we can see that in relation to middle C. Only A is correctly written 1 octave lower. A is 1 octave lower than bar 2, and the others aren't. So yeah, that's true. Only B and C are correctly written 1 octave lower. Not true. B and C are 2 octaves lower than the original. A, B, and C are correctly written 1 octave lower. No, they're not. These are not the same. Only B and C are the same, and only A is an octave lower. So no. Only A and B are correctly written. No. So only A is correctly written 1 octave lower. So if that was too fast for you, then you've got all of this space down here to make sure that you understand that bar 2 is at this pitch. That is, if you didn't want to do a 7th, it's a 15th above middle C. Example A was a 7th above middle C, and B and C are a 2nd below middle C. So you can see that we've got 3 different octaves going on here. And bar 2, the original, is 2 octaves higher than B and C, 1 octave higher than A. So to correctly say that only A is correctly written 1 octave lower is true. And we're on to the last page. Circle true or false for each of the following statements about the melody. I need to pick that page up again. So let's see. Okay. The beginning of the music should be played lightly. Vivace, leggero. Do we think leggero means lightly? Good. The music ends on the subdominant chord of F sharp minor. Subdominant, that's the 4th. You can go back to your previous pages to see where you wrote out tonic, supertonic, mediant, etc., etc. Subdominant is the 4th. So if F sharp is 1, B, we're going to have some kind of B to be the subdominant. The music ends on the subdominant chord of F sharp minor. Well, we're going to have a chord that's starting on a B. We've got a C sharp, a G sharp, no, C sharp and E sharp, a G sharp, a C sharp. So that's not right. That doesn't seem right at all. So I'm inclined to say false. Let's double check our answer. So F sharp minor. So we're in F sharp minor because 3 sharps, relative major of F sharp minor. So chord 1 would be F sharp. Chord 4 is what it's asking for. G sharp, A, B. And it is just a normal B. So make the chord would have B, D, and F sharp. That would be chord 4, would be B, D, and F sharp. We definitely don't have B, D, and F sharp here. We've got A, C sharp. No, we've got C sharp, G sharp, and B. E sharp and G sharp. See, we're near the end of the paper, and I've been talking for so long, my brain's going to mush and reading clefs incorrectly. We've got C sharp in the bass clef, and in the treble clef we've got E sharp and G sharp. So that is not chord 4. In fact, that's chord 5. C sharp, E, G sharp, and where the raised 7th of F sharp minor is an E sharp. So that's actually chord 5, so the dominant chord. So it's not the subdominant chord, that's false. See, these true or false questions, we've got 5 marks up for grabs here, so it's worth taking the time. The largest melodic interval in the left-hand part of the bar 7 is a major third, okay? Do we remember our small intervals? Major third is 2 tones, okay? It's still obviously got to be a third, but we're looking for 2 tones, or 4 semitones, if you want to break it down. Okay, in the left-hand part of bar 7, okay, the largest interval is a major third, okay? We've got a tone there, we've got a tone there, we've got a minor third there, A to an F sharp, so that's 3 semitones. F sharp to an E, that's a tone, E to an F sharp, tone again, F sharp down to a D, that's 4 semitones. That right there is 2 tones. And it is a third because it's an F to a D, so it is some kind of third. And we've got D to a B, that's 3 semitones. So the largest interval, yes, in this bar is 4 semitones or 2 tones, or a major third between D and F sharp. Just double check that. Bass clef, D, F sharp, no accidentals going on. Yeah, that's true. The largest interval is a major third. The highest note in the music is a C sharp. We've got a C sharp there. Anything higher than a C sharp? Yes. There's a top D right there. So C sharp is not the highest note. Highest note in the music is a C sharp. False. The music gets quieter in bar 7. Bar 7, crescendo molto. Hopefully we know that crescendo molto means big crescendo, much crescendo, getting louder. So not getting quieter. False. So 5 points that we can get up for grabs there. Which instrument is best suited to play the right hand phrase in bars 3 to 4, marked with a square bracket, so that it sounds at the same pitch? Okay, so we're doing the right hand of the piano, bars 3 to 4. So we've got all these notes, which compared to middle C, the The lowest note is this G, which is still a fifth above middle C. So we're looking for an instrument that can play in this range in the treble clef. So the bassoon reads the bass clef and is a low instrument. The trombone reads the bass clef and is a low instrument. The double bass is also a low instrument. So that rules all three of those out, giving us the oboe, which does read treble clef and is a high woodwind instrument. Great. Okay, we're nearly there. How many times does the mediant note in the key of F sharp minor appear in the left-hand piano part? So mediant is the third, F sharp, G sharp, A. It's G sharp because of that key signature, don't forget. So we're looking for an A because the mediant is the third. So we can scribble this out. How many times does it appear in the left-hand part? Well, we're looking for A's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think it's 6. Let's double check that. There's C sharp. There's 1. C sharp, C sharp, B, C sharp, D. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, I think it's 6. In the left-hand piano part, A, the median, appears 6 times. And finally, complete the following 2 sentences by adding a number to each. Bar 3 has the same rhythm and articulation as which bar? Bar 3. So bar 3 has got 4 semis, which are slurred, a staccato quaver, and 2 slurred semiquavers. So we're looking for a bar which has the same rhythm and articulation as this. Bar 1 has just got 8 semiquavers. Bar 2 has got 4 semiquavers slurred, a staccato quaver. So bar 2 is looking good. Bar 4 is entirely staccato semiquavers. Bar 5, whilst we do have 4 semiquavers, quaver 2 semis, it's all slurred. We need that quaver to be staccato. 4 quavers, not the same, not the same. So bar 2 has got 4 slurred semiquavers, a staccato quaver, and 2 slurred semiquavers. So it's bar 2. And finally, there is a diminuendo in which bar? We can recognize the symbol there for a diminuendo in bar 5. So, and there we are. My recording says that we've been doing this for 1 hour and 27 minutes. So there's still half an hour left to go. And I've obviously been talking through all of this. Let me pick everything up off the floor. Oh, and get everything back in order or something. There's 1. Should have really been less messy about this. 2, 1. Here we go. Page 1, 1.3, 2. Keys and scales. There's that. So obviously, I've been talking through all of this for the sake of explaining. All of this working out and this drawing all over the page that I've done is what you can do to try and work out the answer, okay? We've still got half an hour left if you want to complete this, if you want to go back to the top and double check all of your working. So for the first question, we've got the rhythm tree. We've counted up everything. We've reminded ourselves what triplets do. We've reminded ourselves about the rules between compound and simple time, 2s and 3s, dotted beats, regular beats. We've reminded ourselves about beaming, showing strong beats, okay? Making sure that we're not beaming across strong beats and that we're grouping correctly. We've been reminding ourselves to avoid dotted rest, show beats. Empty bars are like this, keep it neat. And we can work out that. Pitch, reminding ourselves of what the cheats are with the different clefs. Tenor clef down 1 note, alto clef up 1 note, bass clef up 2 notes. Making sure that we know what enharmonics are. Our small intervals, minor second semitone, major second tone, minor third 3 semitone, major third 2 tones. Key signatures galore, scribbled out everywhere, all over the place. Making sure that we know in reference to middle C. Draw middle C on. Look at where the note is in reference to middle C. More keys and scales. Making sure that we've written out zigzag patterns. We need to make sure that we're following the zigzag pattern to look out for that. Trying to work out what key we're in. Does a major key signature answer for all the notes that are here? Yes, then great. If not, then we've got a red flag, and that red flag is the raised 7th in a minor. Okay, so then we'll have the key signature of a major plus the raised 7th in its minor. So you can take your time. Don't just half-arse and guess. Okay, make sure that you write out your key signatures and you have a think about it. Melodic minor is a raised 6th and 7th going up and normal going down. Natural minor, you do nothing, you just do what the major key signature does. Harmonic minor, raised 7th. All of that written out here, so we can work out what notes to do. The right clefs. Choosing the right clefs. Writing, look at all these notes that we've written out. Making sure that we've not got two lots of semitones next to each other. A scale doesn't start with the semitones. We can't have two of the same note. We can't have a gap larger than 3 semitones. And then making sure that we've got a minor scale. Major scales would be tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. So that's a nice, easy one to remember and to scribble out. If it was major, then tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. Something we can scribble out. Circle true or false. Writing out all the notes for our chromatics. Don't forget our sheets. Bass clef up 2, alto clef up 1, tenor clef down 1. True or false. Leading note. Writing all of this out down here. Intervals, key signatures, key signatures, key signatures, scribbling them all out, writing these out, making sure that we know what the number is so we can visualize it in a different way. Write out our table so that we know that seconds, thirds, sixths and sevenths are majors, fourths, fifths and octaves are perfects. Majors go smaller to minor, go smaller to diminished, perfects go smaller to diminished, and they both go up to augmented. So we can hopefully use that as a reference to get these points on the intervals. Chords, write out the chords. Okay, this is so helpful, and 5 nice easy marks there. Easy marks there for remembering that our cadences are perfect 5 to 1, imperfect anything to 5, plagal 4 to 1, and working out our chords. Writing out our table again here with A, B, and C to see what the order is, the inversion. Do you know your words? It's only 3 points, so don't worry if you've not memorized all of them, but hopefully you'll know some of them. Do you know your ornaments? Okay, writing them out, making sure that we know what a poggiatura is. It's a little note before, but spread out. Acciaccatura, the same, but squeezed in. Upper mordant and lower mordant, you just go up 1 or down 1. And a turn, you go up 1, back, down 1. So making sure, and then a trill. So we know what all of these ornaments are. True or false statements, 5 nice marks, okay? General information about the orchestra. And then we were nearly there at the end. Some more true or false questions. Again, some nice 5 marks there. That's the last page on that music in context. And look at all this, again, in reference to middle C. Right, making sure that we understand where all the notes are in reference to middle C and writing it out so we can visualize it. And then on that final page, some more true or false. Hopefully we can understand that whilst this is a difficult thing to do, and they've had to reword it and redesign these questions so that they can be done in an online format, they are absolutely doable if you take your time and write out all of these notes. You can scribble all you want and make sure that you get to the right answer. And even after I've gone through that a second time, my timer still says we've been recording for 1 hour and 33 minutes. You've still got 25 minutes to go over the rest of the paper. Use that time wisely. Write out your notes. Write out helpful stuff. Don't rush. And you can do all of this. This isn't cheating. This is encouraged. So have a notepad and a pencil ready to go when you start that exam so that you can scribble all of this down and have helpful reference points for when you take the exam. Best of luck, and I hope that this has been helpful. See you soon.